Hi, I'm Leilani Smith, and thank you again for joining me for another episode of Leilani Drinks the Brown Stuff. In my backyard. Oh! So, do I have to introduce myself again? Hi, I'm Leilani Smith, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Leilani Drinks the Brown Stuff in my backyard, where things happen and lights go out. Hey, but we got everything back up and running, and so here we are tonight. And I have to say a big shout out to my friend Brandon Blake in Canada. Basically, he wrote in the comments, do something about Canada. So here we are, doing something about Canada. So tonight, we are going to get into Black Velvet. Now, Black Velvet is 80 proof, 40% alcohol. It is 90% rye that's been aged like 2 years with barley and corn. Now, they craft this mash and they age it in these barrels, making like these barrel-aged wines. And that can take up to about 8 years. Then they take fresh whiskey right off the still, and what do we call that, guys? Here's another show, another time. It is white lightning. And they mix that all up and they throw that back into the barrels. And from what I understand, these are ex-Buffalo Trace bourbon barrels, where you first found out about white lightning in the first place. Isn't that cool how this all comes around? This is basically the second best whiskey producer in Canada behind Crown. And their distillery is located in Lethbridge, Alberta. Now, I got several different dates, and so I'm going to connect them together because some have said in the late 1949s to 1951. The master distiller at the time, Jack Napier, who actually recrafted and redid the blend and the distillations, ended up tasting his whiskey and was like, tastes so smooth, just like Black Velvet. I'm trying to tell you, Black Velvet has a taste, y'all. Come and get you some. He changed the name from Black Label to Black Velvet. Now, this was originally owned by Hubelin. One of those is right, I think. Hubelin ended up selling it to the Grand Metropolitan right around 1987. From 1987 to 1997, they ended up merging with Guinness. And with Guinness, they formed that big conglomerate, as you know, Diageo, who does a lot of distributions of a lot of spirits. Right around 1999, they sold it again to Canada Igua Brands. Now, they kept it for 20 years, and after 20 years, Heaven Hill stepped in and bought it for a cool, easy $266 million. Damn, whiskey got some money. That's what I'm talking about. This was also originally produced in by the Shenley Industries, and they were located in Valleyfield, Quebec. All these Canadian names that I'm trying to get right. I'll get it right. What was really awesome as I was looking through their website, that basically in 1969, they had the first Black Velvet female model, and her name was Patricia Victoria Miller Hale. And when I looked her up, if she was the correct person, she had like 5 films that were like uncredited, and then one where she actually did. So maybe she was just a model and she had a couple lines or walk-bys or whatever it was that they didn't give her credit for. Black Velvet actually invested in several actresses to be a face for their whiskey. And that includes some oldie but goodies, and that's like Christy Brinkley, Sybil Shepherd, Cheryl Tiegs, and some really cool actors like Telly Savalas, Larry Hagman, and George Burns. I have not heard that name He was one of my dad's favorite actors as I was growing up and as a little kid. What was those movies? Oh God, something like that. But all I remember is George Burns smoking a cigar and drinking whiskey, and now I'll be doing the same whiskey he did. Making my daddy proud. So let's go ahead and get into Black Velvet, y'all. So smooth. Oh, well. Screw top smooth. Smells kind of perfumey. I don't think that's the reaction you want. I smell maybe some perfume. I guess for $10, this is what I get. I don't know, but I'm hoping. Let's go ahead. I'm scared to do a woman's pour with this perfume bottle. But you never know, it might surprise you. I just got a whiff of slight orange just then. Thank God. And perfume. It's still there. Oh, I am going to just shake this around and hopefully get some other scents up in there. It has this fresh scent. And there's a slight hint of maybe some caramel if I'm lucky on the back end. But before I go on from getting high off this alcohol perfume smelling whiskey for right now, back in World War II, as a fun fact, the Canadian submarine officers were only allotted this Black Velvet Deluxe whiskey. They held it in such low regards. Obviously, they couldn't stand it. They would call it Shenley's Black Death. Smelling it, I could see why, but tasting it, maybe it's what Jack Napier said, Black Velvet. So let's go ahead and find out. That's different. It is pretty smooth, I have to say. Like, it feels like almost water for a split second in the mouth, and then you feel the warmth of whiskey. There's no prominent, distinctive taste that's jumping out at me. I'm beginning to enjoy the smell, which isn't bad. Maybe I'm just high off this Black Death. Again, it's just there. And you have it for a split second, this little bit of caramel, and then it warms up. And there's nothing else to describe what's happening up in my mouth right now except smoothness trickling down my throat. So I could see how this could be like this drinking whiskey that you're just sitting there sipping and sipping and sipping, and then all of a sudden you got some Black Death. A little bit of orange. I'm tasting some oranginess to it, but not heavy. And just that little pop of, I'm whiskey and I'm here. It's not terrible, but it has nothing to distinctively tell me that it's like, this is where I'm at and this is what's happening, this is my whiskey and this is the taste. It's just a nice, smooth, easy whiskey for $10. So tonight, Leilani Drinks the Brown Stuff has to give Black Velvet, 2.5 kisses. Because that's how I do it. So this 3-year aged whiskey is somewhere between Black Death and Black Velvet. If you're in the mood to risk your life, you might get some smoothness and you might get some death. But enjoy.